He serves a purpose for Yahweh. Yahweh allows him to do certain things because it's useful in bringing out of you what needs to come out and be dealt with, okay? There's a usefulness to have that function there and available. He doesn't know he's working for Yahweh. He doesn't think that that's what he's doing. He's just running off doing what he wants to do. He doesn't understand how constrained he is, but he serves the Almighty. For the Almighty, he serves a function that actually has some value. Because if you have something to work with and HaSatan takes notice, it can be brought out to be dealt with. Weaknesses, lusts that need to be dealt with, tendencies that are not in line with covenant, with you transforming into Yeshua-like being, okay? So that's number one. All right, so Yahweh restricts, constrains, and limits what HaSatan can do. You allowed others to actually put stuff in that field. Could have been well-meaning people, like people whose names or titles are like mom, dad, sister, brother, best friend, co-worker, something, right? But this field, which you are supposed to be tending, which we actually have that in the previous, parable, which is in the same chapter, the sower of the seed, right? So this idea of you tending that field, making it good ground, well, that good ground, if you have good ground, can anything grow in it? Anything can grow in it. But you have to be aware that there's more of a problem. That's why he went from the sower of the seed, talking about the type of ground, and talking about the word being the seed. Then he's like, okay, but now other things can go into that good ground. Anything can grow in good ground. You get your garden, not your garden, let's say you get your front yard all tilled up, the ground is all great, you put all kinds of stuff in there to make it all fertilized and ready. Weeds can still grow in it. Anything can grow in it. It's good ground. Now I said good stuff and bad stuff can grow in your dirt, but each one of us has that other half connecting point. The good stuff, by the way, connects with the Abba seed that's in you. There has to be coming up from the dirt and then what's being put in. There has to be a connection. It's not just dirt and you throw anything in it, okay? You have to have a connection. Abba breathed life into you, and there is a seed of him in you that when he pops your bubble and connects with you, that has something to connect to. There's a connecting point. Same thing with the bad stuff. It has to have something in you that meets and connects, which is why you don't have the same issues as the person sitting next to you necessarily, because what they're dealing with has a connecting point that they're dealing with where you don't have that piece. If HaSatan were to try to do something from and insert that negative thing into it won't have anything to connect with. It's not about being exposed to it. It's being predisposed to it, having that little connecting point. Without that connecting point, I didn't have the connecting point for that stuff. I got my own problems. It's just not that. And so I want you to be aware that this whole thing with HaSatan, I just painted the best picture I could paint for you. You've got these little predispositions in you. His job is to connect to them, to try to wreck your life. Your job is to recognize that's what happened so that you can fix the problem. But he's only connecting to something that you have, okay? He is not creating the problem. That's what the church taught you. Everything's his fault, he creates the problem. Then why do only some people have the problem? Other people don't. And it's not a moralistic superiority or something like that. They don't have the problem because, you ready for this? They don't have the problem. That doesn't mean they don't have any problems. They just don't have that problem. HaSatan's the one when, okay, here's a little thought that comes out from the ground. I'm nothing. So HaSatan goes, yeah, you're nothing. You come up out of the ground and say, I'm somebody. HaSatan's gonna try and say, no, you're not, you're nothing. If you have another one that's also nothing next to it. So you wanna be something, but you got a nothing. You got two conflicting things that are growing. The insecurities of being nothing and this idea that I'm something. Because if you really believe you're something and there's no thought of being nothing, guess what he never bothers you with? Making you feel like you're nothing. I've never had that problem. I've always believed I could be something. So I don't get depressed. I don't get insecure. And that's not picking on anybody that does. I just don't have that part in my psyche that he can mess with. That doesn't mean he doesn't mess with other things like passwords and whatever. Okay? What is the point of the book? What's the point of all this existence? That you become him, right? Did you ever think of why that's important? Here's why it's important. See, we want to be in the kingdom. We're here on the earth. We want to be in the kingdom. The kingdom's going to be here, but you understand it's going to be a whole different type of world. You can't go there the way you are now. You got to become that person that's there. So what does that look like? Oh, Yeshua. So we transform and become Yeshua-like. That means we become more ready and kingdom-like. He says the kingdom is at hand. You can start experiencing kingdom now the more you become Yeshua-like. Ooh, but you think life's so awful. Well, yeah, because that's you here. The person where life's not awful is over here. You got to become that person. The person that believes in yourself, the person that believes in trust in the Creator, the person that, is aiming higher always. We all know about a guy named Judas. Why did Judas do what he did? Because he had a connecting point that HaSatan got to, because he expected, now we don't have a lot of detail about it in Scripture, but he expected Yeshua to be different than he was, or do differently than whatever it was. Something was open and available, predisposed for him to have a disappointment with something in the below. He took his eyes off the above and was only looking at the below. This is really played out beautifully. If you watch The Chosen, I want you to notice how often many of the disciples argue with Messiah and try to correct him because they don't understand what he's saying and what he's doing. And we have this problem where we think we're smarter than God, and we think that we know better about this, that, or the other thing, and we don't want to get counsel from above or from whatever. We argue and we usurp. I mean, you have to see, it's hysterical. I enjoy watching it because I can see it happening, but you got to qualify for it. This is the qualification grounds, the proving grounds. What are you made out of? And the thing that the Father uses is two things. He communicates with you, and he allows HaSatan to communicate with you. One of them is limited. God can talk to you about everything and anything all the time. HaSatan only really deals with you with stuff that you have this little predisposed receptor. If there's no receptor, he can't talk to you. Does that make any sense? If you don't have the receptor, you can't tune in the frequency. So if the frequency is drugs and alcohol, okay, he can tune that in if you have that frequency. If you have the frequency for sexual deviation or anger and violence and that kind of thing, or whatever, any kind of negative attribute, if you have the receptor that can be tuned in, he can connect with you. You were designed to make choices, right? We're going to read here at the end of Deuteronomy, I lay before you life, connecting with Yah, and death, connecting with HaSatan. How's that? Choose who you're connecting to. You have that power. Now, the temptations are strong because you have preferences. I don't like. I don't want. I like that. That's not fair that I can't have that. I love shrimp cocktail. I love pork bacon. I love whatever, okay? Lobster or something that people love. I love whatever I do on Saturday normally that's not Shabbat appropriate. I had a guy that didn't come because he had a Saturday tennis thing that he'd done for 30 years that he wasn't going to give up. Your preferences are going to get you dead if you don't work on them and fix them. But I don't like that. I don't want to do that. How come I have to do this? That's not fair. You know what a elevated, leveled up, personally developed person never says? That's not fair. So if that's in your language, you're not there yet. I never use that phrase. Okay, that's not bragging about my leveling. I'm just saying I have learned that it is what it is, which means I have to now deal with what is as opposed to deciding whether it's fair or not. It's irrelevant if it's fair or not. It is. Does that make sense? Some of you are just going to end up being and just all be upset for a month because something wasn't fair. I don't know. Every parent has told every kid life's not fair. Is there anybody who's never heard that? So then why do I have to state that it's not fair? I expect it to often to be not fair, right? But it is what it is means I now have to deal with it because it is.